What's up to all our kicks and folk out there in Geek Nation? Or I was just watching the new Fraggle Rock. There's a new Fraggle Rock, and I started watching it with my son. And there was a scene where I don't know, he's sort of like a hippy dippy kind of band, you know, like a guitar playing Fraggle shows up, and he says, "What's up, brothers and sisters and in-betwixters?" Which I quite liked. In-betwixters. I thought that was cute. Anyway, you're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast live stream, aka spoiler alert, episode 770, wherein we will review this past week's comics as well as talk about some fun pop culture topics for your listening and viewing pleasure. I am your host. Thank you so much for asking. No one ever. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo, of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, a rad-ass comic shop for rad-ass folks such as yourselves. Joining me are some rad-ass folks. The aforementioned rad-ass folks, Brian Lieb and Noel Bartocci, are just some of the rad-ass folks that I know. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Sup?
Sup?
I like to be aforementioned. I like to have been
that?
mentioned. I like to be aforementioned. I like to have been mentioned before now.
He likes,
Yeah.
he
I've
likes
been mentioned again now.
He likes
Yeah.
a runway for all of his appearances and or
Yeah.
like public and or private. Just somebody should introduce you constantly.
Yeah, I looked into like one of those trumpet guys for a while, but
Just rock a little fanfare and like your
Yeah.
title. You know,
Exactly.
now presenting.
yeah. He was fun. He was fun, but he had to move, so that was the end of that.
I
Yeah.
mean, did you pay him well enough?
No, I did. I couldn't afford it. You know what a trumpeter guy goes for? It's a lot of money.
like old school royalty money.
Exactly.
It costs that much. Yeah.
I only have so many gold coins, and I have a lot fewer now.
Not enough doubloons, I see. Anyway.
So we were gonna have like a pre-show conversation, but I just got a text from my wife that we can't go long on this one. So we're gonna get right to the books.
That's fine. Let's do it.
We're gonna get right to the books. To the books.
To the books.
And that's when I go into the fish tank and I click the thing on the and then I'm golfing up the back cave.
So,
To the
it's a real specific reference. Yeah.
Batman Catwoman special #1 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, with art by the late great Jean-Paul Leon and Mitch Gerrits.
Yeah. Mitch actually coordinated finishing the book. If you look at the credits, it was actually Jean-Paul Leon pages 1 through 13, and then he did the breakdowns to 20, and then other artists filled in off of his breakdowns, and Mitch was the one that kind of coordinated it all.
Very cool. Okay, I did not know that. That's awesome. Pardon me. Too many tabs. Okay. Some great romances are destined to be. The Batman Catwoman series shows readers the romance between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle as it changed over their lives. But what about their connections from before they became costumed adventurers? This special one-off issue, meticulously illustrated by Jean-Paul Leon, traces the life of Selina Kyle from her earliest days to her entry into the criminal underworld and reveals that Bruce was actually a presence in her life all along. Whether it was fate or coincidence, this story gives even more reasons why Selina and Bruce's connection is one of the most enduring love affairs in comics. So this was probably the last thing I read this week. I was a really big fan of the Batcat series when it started, with the wonderful art by Clay Mann. And then I fell off because of time. And then I heard that, what's his name? Liam Sharp.
Oh, yeah.
Liam Sharp got his dirty paws all over this book. And has honestly... Oh my...
It's fine. Keep going. It's audio. Keep going.
It has honestly made me just like not care about picking up the issues that he's drawn. That's how little I like his stuff. I went from really, really enjoying and looking forward to this book to being like, I mean, I'll probably get to it maybe someday, you know? So this is a special, and it's all Christmas based, just in time for February. So I thought it was cute. I thought it was fine. We reveal that Selina Kyle, as she was growing up, in the orphanage that is the Wayne orphanage. There's a picture of him with his mammy and pappy, and she just talks to little baby Bruce up there. And it's cute, and I just feel like we have seen a lot of this thing from this series already, and I don't think that this particularly or added anything particularly interesting to the conversation. We already knew that she was talking to Joker in a weird way. Like, there's something about the Joker dynamic with Catwoman that feels like it's not the Joker. There's something about his representation of the Joker, the way he characterizes him, doesn't feel like Joker to me. He seems so casual and normal, except for all the murders he does on the side. He just seems like a regular guy. He doesn't seem like the Joker. Anyway,
you mean like he's? Do you mean like he's not doing the Joker well, or you think it's not the Joker in the story?
No, I'm sure it is the Joker.
Oh, I got you.
It does not feel like the Joker that I have seen in the ways that I have seen him portrayed before, which is like he could do something crazy at any minute. You can't just sit there and have a conversation with the Joker, because if you don't laugh at the exact right time, he will murder you in a terrible way. And she's just like, they're just buds hanging out, having beers and stuff. It's very strange, very casual.
Yeah, he's more like
it goes against the Joker characterization of all these years.
It's like a Cesar Romero kind of, hanging out with the other bad villains kind of Joker. Yeah.
What did you think, Brian?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I like this kind of long spanning story that shows, the progression of time over apparently her whole life. And I haven't been reading Batman Catwoman, but I also really liked it when we read it for this show. And I don't know how much of this has already been revealed in that, especially the final panels. I wonder, Noel, are you caught up on it? Is this known in the story?
No. That was my short answer. I'll wait for my piece. Finish your full thoughts.
Yeah, I really liked it. The art is excellent. I also got that kind of a sense from the Joker a little bit, but more so in his artistic portrayal of having those like court jester eye things, that's like the kind of Joker you might see in a not necessarily an alternate universe, but a disconnected reality that is like a more artist interpretation kind of thing. This
version is just like anarchy obsessed kids though. Like that's kind of how I read it. This is supposed to be, 20 years ago. So I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I sent the translation of the final Spanish quote from the Cuban fan. All right, so it says, I come from everywhere and I go everywhere. I am art among the arts. In the mountains, I am a mountain. And it is by the Cuban poet Jose Marti. And interestingly, I found another translation, which I at first thought like, oh, maybe this one's better because the first one I just ran through Google Translate. And then I noticed that one rhymes. And it's like similar to that meaning, but it says like, I travel everywhere, but I am never a newcomer or something like that in place of the first line. And so they've chosen to adapt it to a rhyming structure rather than the meaning that it seems the poet meant to convey. And I definitely prefer the one that I read.
You know what the first line means? Everywhere he goes, he is already aforementioned.
Yes. Yes, I like that about him.
I have been reading this series the whole time. I honestly, this was supposed to come out like 4 months ago, but Jean-Paul Leon sadly passed away and it got pushed back. But I love this series despite.
I'm sorry. I chuckled. I did not chuckle at Jean-Paul Leon dying. I chuckled at the Riddler page that I forgot this scene. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Just want to make that clear.
So I've been reading this series the whole time. I adore it. Despite the horrifically poor choice of fill-in artist. It is not permanent. Clayman comes back this month, and it'll finish out strong, hopefully. But the way that the story has been told, the entire 9 issues thus far, has been showing you 3 time periods at the same time without giving you proper transitions. You're just supposed to kind of feel it and see it in the art. And they have been telling very, very, very early when Catwoman and the Joker have been young colleagues, and they do all the they lay all the groundwork that Selena specifically has a punk rock, fuck you, I don't really care about your shtick relationship with the Joker. When she starts kind of seeing and becoming serious with Batman, with Bruce, the main bit of the story has been her trying to rectify or reconcile how she acted in her youth with these very awful people and how she wants to be better. So all of those times where she's having like sit down conversations with him like this, it's the Joker trying to kind of like, but remember? And she's like, I'm not that person anymore. So the whole dynamic actually does really work for me, but it's mainly because of all the groundwork, right? Yeah. But just seeing them on the couch drinking beers in a poor like abandoned house, yeah, that's a little jarring.
I have seen that. I've seen them in this series before this. It's not just this issue. It's really their whole dynamic. You know, there's that whole sequence where he has placed a bomb under the ice, and you can tell Batman that there's a bomb under this ice. And I'm sorry, in an ice skating rink. That's the important part, not just under some ice. Yeah. In your ice tray.
He's got a cube of.
Yeah, I'm gonna melt your ice. Boo. So no, it's under a ice skating rink that is being used by families, and you can go tell Bats that I've put this bomb there, but then he'll wonder how you know, and then he'll know that we chat. It's just that, and even that's very cool. It's really just his characterization when they're chatting. He just seems like a normal guy. The way he writes him. It's just it's a choice. It's on purpose. But I'm just not used to seeing the Joker in that way, so it's find disarming.
I agree, it's disarming, but I also find it haunting. And he did it during his Batman run. Tom King did it during his Batman run too. Like that I think it was the issue where it was really just the 3 of them in a church, and the way that the Joker was just so kind of charismatic and matter of fact, and like, well, I'm just going to murder this person. Oh, if you shoot me there, and they'll shoot you here. Like it was almost more sociopathic and creepy than just wild card. And there's more of it here. I don't disagree with you that it's a departure, but in context, I was kind of digging it. I have been digging it because personally, I'm tired of the Joker as we see him depicted constantly. So this is just kind of nice-ish. I mean, if you want to call it nice, it's not nice. It's awful.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah, there you go. Breath of fresh air. And then also too, like the scene that you described, I really liked, those were early issues. I really liked that dynamic. The idea that she, at the beginning of their relationship, was still trying to straddle the line of her old life and her potential new life. Yeah. So it's like, I'm not going to rat on my, former colleague in this world, but I also don't want to kill people and be a disappointment to the man I love. So I'll set up clues. Like she's just is the most passive way to kind of do it. And I love this. I think it was great. I'm very excited for the next issue that's not Liam Sharp art.
I have a question. There are a couple of scenes in here where, and they're great. Well, that's what I do want to say. The scenes between Batman and Catwoman are excellent. I love the scenes. My question is, he keeps trying her stuff for Christmas, and he's like, even when they're elderly, she's like, all these years and you still don't know me. Why? Can you speak to that a little bit, Noel? What did you take away from that?
Well, that had to do with the gift. He went out of his way to pull strings and purchase this trust that has jewelry and a diamond and blah blah blah. He essentially sets it up to where she could go have a heist but it still be legal.
Yeah.
And he thought that was incredibly sweet of him to try and like
Yeah.
recapture what's for her. And she's like, you don't fucking know me. That's not why I did things. Like I think I thought that was actually funny. Like the idea of even Batman is even Bruce is kind of an idiot when it comes to the woman he spent his life with. Yeah, I think that was really cool.
Yeah, he sets up like a playtime, like a fake heist that she can do.
Yeah, she's like you asshole.
Yeah, piece of shit.
Yeah, I assumed it was because I also had that reaction, JD. Like I figured that's what it was, but I wondered, is it because it's like a setup and so she's not interested in it, or is she not interested in? That was my assumption.
No, that it was a setup.
That it was a setup, and not like I never really cared much for stealing or some other thing that is not hinted at here. You know what I mean? It was a little vague.
I don't think that those two things are mutually exclusive. Like she is not a thief for maybe the reasons that people think she's a thief. Just right. That's just like not necessarily understanding the sociopathy of somebody, but then also like you nerfed it, dude. Like, why is this? This isn't a challenge. That's actually pretty. It's pretty condescending.
Yeah.
But I actually loved her, and I loved her relationship with Helena like a lot. When she's young Robin, and then also when they're kind of colleagues or except at least contemporaries. The competitiveness of it, but then also just this is cute. There are a lot of like really sweet scenes in here, like the kind of I would read a whole series about the I don't know, odd nature of their parenting.
Yes, that would
absolutely
be fun.
Read this book,
like a family story, like kind of focused on Helena with them as
like that.
Yeah. Now, JD, you flashed up on the sword there, which I thought was odd for a number of reasons. Like, one, Batman is giving a sword to his daughter.
For a 5-year-old? Yeah.
Right. It seems like I know he doesn't have a thing against swords, but it's not like a bow staff that you would just hit people with. You know what I mean? A sword. And also, so he's like, I put some nth metal in so it'll be lighter, but I'll take it out later. One, why would you take it out? Like, it has nth metal in it. And two, how do you take it out of the sword if it's part of the
Batmanium
and just replace it like a 1-to-1?
I presumed it was in the hilt where all the weight is, like for the balance.
Maybe. Yeah,
and it's because she's smaller without as much without as much upper body strength. And then when she gets older, he'll be able to take it out, and she'll be able to just wield the weight of the hilt.
I guess.
And so I wondered that myself. When she cracks it open, first of all, I had something I want to say about this scene with relation to the scene before it in a second. But I thought that myself. I was like, a sword? Why would you? What? Like a batarang? Sure, like something that makes sense. But I am Wonder Woman, so it's clearly at this point in time she is very excited about Wonder Woman, and a Wonder Woman has a sword, so he made her a sword.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was something that she's interested. Right. Well, maybe she's interested in Wonder Woman's sword. I don't know.
Likes the sword.
Yeah, she's just in like a sword phase. We've all been in a sword phase.
That's cool. I have a bunch of swords.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I had a samurai sword at one point.
Yeah, that's cool.
Never had a sword phase, guys.
No.
So
I actually fenced. I took fencing lessons.
Oh,
that's not a phase. That's a
awesome.
Practice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was into it. Yeah.
But to sort of the back and forth between them and the difference between these two characters, Batman and Catwoman, it's Batman's time to be at home with the little girl on Christmas Eve or Christmas. And so Catwoman is out doing a penguin thing. She's beating the penguin. And she says, "Don't forget to tell her it's from me." And when she opens the present, he says, "This is from mommy and daddy, and you can give it a name. It's a cat." She has gotten her daughter a cat, and Batman says, "That is from your mother and I," even though Catwoman says, "Tell her it's from me." And then we go to the sword section where she gets the sword, and Daddy's on the phone, "Sweetie, this is his special gift to you. He didn't even tell mommy about it." I like that little difference between their characters, where Batman, for some reason, has to claim part of the gift, but Catwoman doesn't. She's like, "Oh, it's from your father. There you go." It's just it's a nice little moment.
It speaks to the confidence of each character, or at least the level of confidence in each character. Like his Batman is historically unable to actually emotionally connect with people, including his own children and wards.
Yeah.
So latching onto something that she enjoys just seems like a real honest thing. Whereas Catwoman's just like, yeah, it's his, man. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't hurt my feelings if you like it more.
Sword, right?
It's fine. Yeah. She's just like, hey, it's for you. If you like it, that's fantastic. I don't need to take credit. It's great.
Mars Comic says, I have a lightsaber.
Nice.
Someone, it is 9:30 at night, and someone is tapping on my window.
Do they have a lightsaber?
I'll be right back.
All right. Mars Comics, which lightsaber is it?
Just say it's closed. No, thank you.
He just went to turn the lights off. All right.
Sorry. Yeah. So no, I really like this book. It was is very much a part of the overall story that has been being told, but it also just kind of reads standalone as just this kind of span of their relationship.
Yeah.
Or more so just like her origin.
And like, how far have they gotten into her future? Like, we see what we see at the end here. Have you seen that scene before?
No.
Okay.
We're only up to. Again, the story is not told in any kind of linear fashion. It's three separate timelines that are happening concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
In the most advanced one is the one where she offed the Joker, and which happens in the first issue. It's not a spoiler. Back off. And what's been happening is the ramifications of that, because she was eventually kind of found out, and her daughter wants her to turn herself in. Yeah. The commissioner of GCPD, who is Richard Grayson, also is trying to arrest her, and it's kind of progressing as almost just like a fugitive kind of story on that end. So it's not her even 20 years older elderly being the steward of it. Like that was maybe like 75 85-year-old Selena. We're still in 55 60 tops.
Oh, and Bruce is already dead by that time?
He died of cancer.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they make a point of it in the first issue. He passed away because of Dr. Phosphorus.
Oh, is that right?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so he and they touch on it here. Chemo sickness. Yeah,
they do. I didn't know what that was all about. He's just like, he just says Dr. Phosphorus as he's coughing. That makes sense.
Brutal.
Yeah, I would, despite the 3 issues of Liam Sharp art, and I know a lot of people really love Liam Sharp. It just has to do with the fact that he was the absolute wrong choice in regards to layout and pacing as a fill-in artist. This is still one of my favorite issues, or my favorite series going on right now. It's very, very strong.
Is it? Okay. All right. I just had picturing Liam Sharp, like picturing the book being this good with a different artist, with that specific artist, actually.
The first Liam Sharp issue is not bad because I think he was working from Clayman breakdowns. The second one is a little wonky. The third one is just straight Grant Morrison style ephemeral shit. And then it's coming back to Clayman. No, it's not it's not even the artist. It's so much as it was the worst match for this book. Yeah.
Now at the end of this book is a very nice Jean-Paul Leon memoriam tribute. Which this is a nice cover. I would have liked to have seen this cover. This is cool. But yeah, there's like some of his other comics, some of his Batman related comics that he did back in the day, some tributes from other artists, Becky Cloonan and Klaus Janson, Rick Leonardi, Chris Batista. I like this Danny one, is very nice.
There's a couple of essays too, one from Michael Davis and one from, what was the second one? Michael Davis of Milestone. And the second, I don't remember. You should be coming up to it soon.
Trying to find it.
You passed it already. Oh wait, no, you
Nope.
didn't. Sorry.
Kurt Busiek.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a question story that was drawn by him as well. So yeah, it's very cool.
It's a nice, perfect bound book. I very much enjoyed it.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, you know what's very interesting? The reason I thought of this is you brought up Clayman, and this here is the Clayman tribute.
Mm-hmm.
It's very unlike Clayman. This is very cool. It's very much in the style of, or an approximation of the style of Jean-Paul Leon. Very cool. Very nice little image here. I like this a lot. So, all right, let's move on to Avengers Forever #2, written by Jason Aaron with art by Aaron Cooter. Vengeance in the Wasteland. On an alternate Earth ravaged by the multiversal masters of evil, Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes has been taken prisoner by the planet's dark waste lords, the brutal war machines. And what the rider endures at their hands will change him forever into the most unbridled force for vengeance any universe has ever seen. That's unless Ant-Man, Tony Stark, and his bunch of ragtag heroes can pull off the mother of all rescues. Noel,
Yeah.
tell us, go. You're keeping up with Jason Aaron's Avengers. You're the big Avengers guy right now.
So before I tell you how much I love this series of books, there is like, so you know how people complain about how like the comics are they're just mimicking what's in the movies now, and it's no originality, and we're gonna change designs in this, like it's just all fodder for the movies. After 50-something issues of Avengers and now this new Avengers Forever series, I feel like Jason Aaron took those comments in and is doing everything he possibly can to make something that is not possibly adaptable in any other medium.
Yeah.
He has gone full comics stupidity, and I mean that in like the highest compliment. Like, he just keeps one-upping the ridiculous nature of everything, and he approaches it in such an earnest way that you can't help but just be like, this is so stupid. I love it. Like, again, Celestials, Vampires, Starbrand, Brood, Khonshu, fucking craziness. And now it's like, well, I guess we'll just do the multiversal villains of Doom and have the All-Rider and all Avengers Prime of the multiverse sending out Deathlocks like messages in a bottle to other universes. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. I love this. I love this. I love this because it's hard to explain. It's so in the weeds.
That's sort of what Jason Aaron brings to his work, is this sort of enthusiasm. I just love reading Jason Aaron stuff because it reminds me of reading comics when I was a kid, and how fun they were, and without taking themselves too seriously. And I've seen that a lot of people online hate this book, hate Avengers because of that. Whereas, you know, what do you always say? It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's a feature,
not a bug.
Yeah. So I think this is delightful. This is fun. I'm glad I caught up on this. I read Avengers Forever 1 and 2. And it's this whole issue is Ghost Rider getting tortured. Robbie Reyes getting tortured. Having his it took the Black Skull 8 days to saw off his leg. And now he's just missing a leg.
Can you describe what the Black Skull is?
From what I understand, the Black Skull is just the Red Skull with a symbiote.
With both symbiotes, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? It's got venom.
Yeah, he's like symbiote prime, just nasty fuck. I love this. I
didn't realize that he was symbiotes.
Yeah, because there's I think they established it in the last issue, but still, it's just like they go out of their way, or at least Jason Aaron goes out of his way to like make it just that much more nasty and that much. It really is like a couple of kids bouncing, escalating ideas off of each other. Like, well, what if you had the symbiote? Well, what if you had both symbiotes? Well, what if you did? Like, that's literally how these books go, and I'm falling for it constantly. Even like those roaches and stuff, where were all symbiote roaches and symbiote ants that were permeating all over like the compound. This is so stupid. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, when I saw how the symbiotes were colored, when we saw them much earlier, I was like, "There's something weird about those roaches," and there was. And I really liked the end too with Tony Stark, although that was brutal. When he finally breaks, when Robbie Reyes finally breaks, and murders all the other Robbie Reyeses without even realizing he was doing it.
Wait, he didn't murder any, did he?
Yeah.
No,
Once
they all murdered each other.
Once I can bring myself to move, I try to take them down without hurting them. And then it cuts to he's the last one alive. How did the last Robbie Reyes die?
Oh, I thought that he was trying to stop them all from viciously murdering each other, and he couldn't even get that done.
I think he thought he was, and he was murdering all of them because he snapped.
Cool.
Because he even says it.
Cooler.
Even Deathlock says he finally did it. He broke you, and then he thinks to himself, "No, I did it to myself." So that's the way I took it. Is like he murdered all the other Robbie Reyeses while in his head he was helping them.
Oh, okay. Either way, it works for me.
For me, brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think, Brian?
It was fine. It was it was like it was a multiverse story. This guy is that guy. You know, Tony Stark is Ant-Man instead of Iron Man. That was cool. You know, that stuff's always fun.
This guy is that guy.
That sums it up. I just noticed upon looking at it now that Robbie Reyes is using his chains as that's pretty cool. And
that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, and his goblin, like the fact that the goblin there was like a Ghost Rider goblin kind of thing. But Jason Aaron's bombasticity doesn't really grab me, honestly. Like, I just, for whatever reason, I'm just like, all right. You know, it goes, this one was all right. Sometimes I'm like, I don't like this at all. But like it was a cool side story kind of thing, I guess. I'm glad
I have no idea. I have no idea what the plans are for this series because I originally thought that this was going to take over Avengers, but that book is still going on its own trajectory. That's kind of parallel with this, but not really. So I imagine this is something along the lines of how I guess Avengers and New Avengers, or like having complementary books that are telling a different story, but will eventually merge or kind of meet each other. So, you know, I'm here for it.
This has something to do with like the multiverse's greatest Avenger or the one true Avenger or something like that.
Avenger Prime.
Avenger Prime. It's not the one true Avenger or any kind of prophecy like that. It's the fact that like at the God Quarry, at the nexus of all realities, there are Avengers from across the multiverse. They kind of either get displaced or their worlds get destroyed, and they kind of collect there. And this Avenger Prime is the one that just kind of brings them all together and tasks them out. So it's not like a prophecy so much as just like a hierarchy that happened.
I wonder who he is, right? Cap or Iron Man?
It could be any version of Cap, any version of Iron Man, any version of T'Challa, any version of they've only shown this person in silhouette, so it very well could be female, or alien. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm down. I'm here. I'm along for the ride. Could be Moon Knight. I don't fucking know. Yeah.
Could be Bug.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that would be your response, Brian.
Yeah. I don't want to rain on your guys' parade.
Oh yeah, no. This was created in a lab to not really appeal to you at all.
I think so.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Peacemaker.
Speaking of things that don't appeal to me, I like that one.
Yeah. Fuck, really? Yeah, Peacemaker disturbing the peace, #1, DC Comics. Garth Ennis and Gary Brown. Long before joining Suicide Squad, Christopher Smith, codename Peacemaker, meets with a psychiatrist, a woman dangerously obsessed with his bizarre and violent past. From his tragic childhood to his military service overseas to his multiple missions with special forces, Smith has more than his share of skeletons in the closet. But who's actually analyzing whom? And will this trip down memory lane result in yet more fatalities? All right.
No,
so I saw Peacemaker.
it
I've been
doesn't.
enjoying the show. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, maybe this will be interesting. And it's Garth Ennis. I used to like Garth Ennis quite a bit. I sort of have fallen off the Garth Ennis wagon over the past 10 years. I just find his stuff less interesting. And that applies here, I think. There's nothing here that was particularly shocking or overly interesting. The art was, woo boy. I'm sorry. I just
You didn't
opened
like
up
the
the page. I'm looking at this art and I really don't like it. Boy, howdy, do I not like this artwork. It's fine. It's serviceable. But it's more of Garth Ennis's over-the-top bad dialogue, just gross for gross sake or violent for violence sake. I don't care about this character. This is the first time I've ever read this character in a comic book. I've never read him before. I just... when I was done, I was like, "Oh, good, that's over. I can move on to something better, like Batman, Catwoman, maybe." What did you think, Brian? You liked it?
I did like it, actually. I like the art. It's not my favorite style of art. You know what I mean? But I kind of like this style of art for some stories, and this is the kind of story that I think it works for. I too am watching the Peacemaker show. That I like a lot more than I like this comic. That's a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I've ever read Peacemaker. I'm sure he's shown up in some comic or other that I've read, especially in the late 80s or early 90s. And I wonder how much his characterization is influenced by the comedian who is based on Peacemaker, and that the comedian is this over-the-top, terrible person. And I wonder if that has informed more modern Peacemaker stories. I don't know, because I don't know what his deal was. I doubt he was this bad back in the day,
Also, too, comparing the James Gunn Peacemaker to literally anything else from before is like folly. They just have the same costume.
Right.
Yeah, I never assumed that they were that it was anything like the actual character. Looking at this, reading this, I just kept thinking Frank Castle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I kind of like the twist, and again, we see I like the storytelling atmosphere of these two people sitting on a bench and telling the story, and then it turns out he's got the upper hand all along. He knows exactly what she's there for, and she's uncovered this secret of his. I thought the secret that she uncovered was interesting, and how by the end of it, it's like she's thinking about turning him in, and that he won't, he'll go to jail or whatever. And he's like, no, this is all sanctioned, and I'm just kind of here, but I'm not going to kill you. You're a nice person, but you're not going to get your way. I thought it was well done.
I did like the revelation of peace.
Yeah.
How he defines peace. Like the final panel of this page is great.
No, they're all at peace. I really liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would. It did give me Garth Ennis on Punisher vibes, but in the DC universe. You mentioned that it's over the top. This is actually from my perspective, this is incredibly subdued for Garth Ennis when he decides to go over the top. There's no scat porn jokes or incest or everyone looks like a popped zit. This was actually incredibly subdued for his shit, which I appreciated. I found it engrossing. Was it revolutionary? No. Did I learn something wildly new about this version of the character? Not really. You kind of knew where it was going when they set up the narrative structure. If it's going to be two people on a bench and we do flashbacks, and there's going to be a revelation by the middle, and then it's going to be twisted by the third. It's a very by the numbers kind of safe structure.
Did you see the revelation itself coming though?
Yeah. When the only thing I wasn't sure about was if he was going to be the one who actually did kill his parents or not. Like that. That's the only thing I wasn't sure if they were going to like reveal or not. But everything else was going to be like, he did it for this.
Yeah, I knew he killed everybody
all
else.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that I wasn't sure about was his family. Which I'm glad he didn't. However, that did define his understanding of peace.
Yeah, if he had, that would have been, because that's like his transformative incident. Otherwise, he would have been this like
he's a super villain.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I did. I liked this more than I thought it would. I read it almost like as a, well, you know, it's a big show. Let's power through and see if it's worth talking about. And then I found myself just reading it all the way through and being like, it's actually pretty strong. It's not bad.
Mars Comics is in the... Mars Comics is in the chat saying she liked it.
Nice. Yeah, I wonder that they didn't go for one that is more tonally similar to, you know, that they're not turning Peacemaker into that in the comics, like you were saying, Noel.
I'm glad they did. And from what I understand too, I a couple weeks ago somebody had mentioned it in the current Suicide Squad comic. Apparently, he's more closer to this version of the characterization, like the more, you know, John Ostrander version, and that it's a pretty decent book. Maybe someday I'll go back and read it. But
like he's just same guy, not tongue in cheek, really, in some ways, you know. You know, speaking of things going, you know, changing with whatever outside media, I remember that going all the way back at least to the John Wesley Shipp Flash show. That's when they changed Wally West costume. And they always do that. You know, they always have whatever thing is going on in the media, they change it. I
don't know. I feel like whenever something is changed, we should freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
Be as loud as humanly possible and pretend like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to any of us, because why isn't not only for me? I feel like that's the most rational way to go. Death threat. You know what? Haven't tried it. Death threats
are cool.
It's probably makes it work. Not boycotts.
Nope.
Death threats.
Death threats.
To unrelated people.
Yeah.
If you want to email us death threats, you can do so at cultpopgo@gmail.com. You can help the show out by going to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can, if you don't have any money and you don't want to email us death threats, you can tell friends about it. Invite your friends over and have a big watch. That sounds horrible. Have a big watch party where you watch us talk about comics. Don't do that. That sounds no fun at all. But if you're bored on Monday nights at 9 o'clock, come hang out with us and talk about comic book.
We went from watch party to if you're bored, I guess. And
if you're struggling to stay alive on a respirator,
we're sorry for doing this podcast.
If you're struggling to stay awake, we'll fix that.
I guess that's it. Anything else about in the promo block? Anyone want to add anything in the promo block of the show?
No.
Okay.
Just like, comment, subscribe. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot. Like, comment, subscribe.
They would not have done it.
Thunder rounds.
Thunder rounds.
Someone give me 60 seconds. I'm going to be first up, I suppose. Oh wait. Yeah, I'll go first. Saga number 55 from Image Comics, written by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Fiona Staples. At long last, Hazel and her star-crossed family are finally back. But where the hell have they been? Let me know when you're ready, Noel.
And go.
All right, so Saga number 55. Saga is back. I finally got caught up 2 days after the book came out. After number 55 came out, and I thought I should catch up. So I read the last 2 volumes. I'm all caught up. I got sad as shit, but I was primed and ready for issue number 55, and I dove into that shit face first, and I loved it. It was awesome. Oh man, what a great! You know, there was a period there where I was catching up on Saga, and I thought, do I really care about this? Is this losing me? Maybe it's dwindling. Turns out, no. Turns out I still love this book. The art is amazing by Fiona Staples. The art is always engaging by Brian K. Vaughan. I love this book up and down and sideways. Highly recommend it. I'm not going to tell you anything that happened in this issue. I'm just going to tell you that you should read it because it's great. And if you haven't read Saga, you should read Saga. Saga itself is one of the best books on the shelf. It's been gone for 3 years. It's time to get into it now.
End of round.
Thank you.
I
Good.
I am on issue 26 of Saga, and it's fun. So
Yeah.
in about 5 years, I'll be up to issue 56 or 55, and we'll talk about
Yeah.
it.
Mars says, great job. Thank you, Mars. Dan H says, need to reread Saga. Agreed. And Mars, my favorite comment of the night, my laugh just interrupted my yawn.
Excellent.
I like that. All right, who's up next for the Thunder Round?
I'll do it.
Do you want to go?
Yes.
Great.
That's
Let's see.
Detective
What counts
Comics
today?
1050.
Yes.
This is just so you're aware, perhaps the longest solicitation I've ever copy pasted.
Oh.
Ooh, I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
All right, so Detective Comics 1050, DC Comics, written by Mariko Tamaki, Matt Rosenberg, and Mark Wade, with Yvonne Rice, Fernando Blanco, and Dan Mora on art. It's the landmark, oversized issue, Detective Comics number 1050, and some of the biggest names in comics are here to celebrate The Dark Knight. First up in The Tower, Part 4, the villainous force keeping Arkham's Tower's patients sedated is at last revealed, and this villain's return is guaranteed to catch you by surprise. It didn't, I guessed it. It's the dramatic conclusion to Act 1 of Mariko Tamaki's Arkham Tower epic, brought to life by the legendary Yvonne Reese. Then, in House of Gotham Part 4, if you know it, forget it. There's more. There's a bunch of
there's so much more.
It's too long. I give up. It's long. It's going to be longer than the Thunder Round itself.
Thunder
Brian?
Round.
Quitter.
60 seconds on the clock.
And go.
Yes. The landmark 1050th issue. Not an issue that most people would count as a landmark, but it ends in a 0 and it's kind of a round number. So I thought it was pretty good. The art is amazing. What else? It picked up the pace of the story. It's cool. It is in this kind of time flashes around kind of type of story. I didn't realize that Dick and Helena were in a relationship, and I did not see the villain reveal coming, although it makes sense. I like that particular villain. He's always fun when he shows up, but I am still a little disappointed that it's all a con. It's not like, we were trying to do something. Not because it's not a well-told story.
End of round.
Shut up, Brian.
I read this. Did you read this too? Do you want
I
to talk
read
about
it
it for like 2 seconds?
I have found this detective run by Mariko Tamaki to be delightful. And I figured out who the big bad was in this issue, not because I'm smart, but because they showed us a silhouette of the character, and I know who that is.
Did they in this issue or in a previous issue?
In this issue.
I saw they also solicited the covers, so
I didn't.
He's on the fucking cover of the next issue. Like, I didn't even think about it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I was liking this, but I think I'm a little bored of it. Yeah. By the way, Helena and Dick are not currently in a relationship. They were in a relationship. So like it was just it was just written weirdly.
I gotcha.
He's with
they
Babs
were in a
right
relationship.
now. They were before.
Yeah, I didn't take that to mean that they were.
Ago,
or that they are. Yeah.
But when he says it, the tenses, and that's what made me fall for her. Like they didn't finish the thought in his voiceover, so it's like, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like this is a 12-issue story, and we're at issue 4, and it already starts. To me, it's starting to feel like we're like twiddling thumbs. Yeah, like
twiddling.
I don't know.
Spinning thumbs.
Twiddling wheels. That's what we're doing. Twiddling wheels. They're meant to roll, and we're twiddling them. Who's got a clock?
I'm digging it.
I'm next.
Brian, do because I don't.
What?
I can't clock myself.
You know what? I guess I can. Yeah, I do. Hold on. Give me a second.
You got it?
1 minute on the clock. No, what are you doing?
I'm doing the 10 Deaths of Wolverine #1 sequel to first issue of the second series in the Cracker Jack blockbuster event. 10 Lives, 10 Deaths of Wolverine coming out weekly. Yeah. 10
Death
Lives
is
of
not
Weapon
the
X.
end. Death
Yeah.
is the Omega. Week 2. If Wolverine lies in the past, what does that mean for the present? All right, 60 seconds is going on the clock. Bablamo, go.
Okay, so I think it's a fun idea to have conjoining ish like series. They did it with House of X, Powers of 10. So now it's the 10 Lives of Wolverine and the 10 Deaths of Wolverine, 1 through 5 each, coming out on a weekly basis. It's a gimmick. It's cool. So I thought that they were just going to kind of just be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, but like different numbered. This was a completely different book. The Wolverine wasn't in it at all. Like he was only in like 2 pages. And it actually ended up being kind of like a backdoor Moira series or just issue. It picks up immediately after Inferno number 4, and you follow the almost like breakneck pace escape of Moira. These 2 guys haven't read it yet, so I'm not going to actually say what happens to her, but it's actually pretty thrilling and it's pretty awesome.
End
And
of
I am
round. There you go.
It is the end of round sound.
That is
end of round sound.
because you
Listen to it.
because you told that Noel, because you told me it was a Moira, like a thing that happens after it spoils Inferno.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother reading it because you said it was going to
And-
spoil Inferno, and I am way
It does.
more invested in Inferno
Yeah,
than I am the 10 Deaths of Wolverine.
that is the exact reason that I did not read it either.
So
It was
the way
well
that
said.
I don't want to misinterpret how Inferno ends. It makes it sound like I'm talking about it being like a fucking surprise. It's kind of not a surprise, but it's more so impressive in how Hickman over the course of like 3 years set up a couple of little plot points, and they all just wrapped up really, really nice in a Moira story and Inferno. So it's not like peels the mask off, crazy reveal. It's more like, oh, that's fucking cool. That's really, really cool. And so I don't want you guys to think that there's like I guessed it. Like it's not that kind of like spoiler. It's more of like a nice big bow wrapped on the whole thing, and it's really, really cool. I liked it a lot.
Nice. Hal is in the comments saying, well, no more Monday Night Football, so I guess I'll watch you guys before work. LOL.
Excellent.
I'm glad
I think
we
it's a good
could
choice.
be your runner-up.
Runner.
NFL, bro.
Let's talk about
Ooh.
sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk
That's
about
not
all
appropriate.
the good things and the
I'm talking about
The-
2 best friends. One's a minor.
we can talk about
Two
sex.
best friends. They might fuck.
One's a minor. Which part of that did you not get? Yeah.
Whoops. Whoops.
Well, I mean, they're just having sex together. I didn't think it was about the characters of the book. We were just talking about
one's
sex.
a minor.
Only one.
John is 18.
50-50. And his being
you
18
can't-
is kind of weird, right? Like, how is he 18? Did he live through 18 years? This
He
is a fair
did.
question. Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
So when he was 10 years old, he wound up going to outer space with his grandpa Jor-El, and wound up being trapped on Earth 3, where Ultraman, that version of Superman, the evil version of Superman, tortured him for 8 years.
Oh shit!
Also-
I didn't.
also-
I thought he was just out traveling with Jor-El. For
Also
a time.
Superwoman. Well, it's a bit of both. So he wasn't tortured. He was 8. He wasn't tortured for 10 long years. He was out with Jor-El the further they got the time thing. But then about half of that, he was captured on Earth 3. So like maybe
trapped
3 to
in a
4 years.
volcano.
Yeah, like 3 to 4 years. And like so he couldn't fly out because the way that the gravity was and
Sure.
all kinds of shit. But I loved that arc. That was such a good arc. It was essentially the whole thing was almost like proof positive that they raised their 8-year-old correctly because he never forgot his values while being tortured by doppelgangers of his parents. I was like, this is dope. Yeah.
That's nice.
So a lot of fans have been having trouble because they enjoyed Super Sons so much. The Super Sons, Challenge of the Super Sons, etc. Because John Kent and Damian Wayne were about the same age, and they were buddies, and they were hanging out and going on adventures and whatnot. And it was delightful. It was great. The writer of that, the creator of the Super Sons, Peter J. Tomasi, is back with this Robin and Superman and Robin special. And so we've got the regular, still the same age Robin hanging out with 18-year-old John Kent. And it's still pretty cute. I wanted to like this more than I did. Because I like the Super Sons, I was excited for this. And I found it just fine. There were some flaws, I think, or I don't know what to call them. I just things that made me sort of like do a head tilt, like, and I think it has to do with the dialogue. Some of Peter J. Tomasi's dialogue was weird in this, and it's not usually this way. It was just strange for me. I should have taken notes so I could remember exactly what it was, but I feel like they were saying a thing that they just did, even though we just saw them do it. And they were explaining things that didn't need to be explained. It's hard to quantify.
We have the characters have changed, both of them. So Damian is now canonically 13, because they made a big deal about him being able to join the Teen Titans, and John is 18. He is still writing them like they're precarious 8 and 10-year-olds.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I think maybe the word is, it seems disingenuous. It seems like it's just a story that he had in the bank, and then just kind of like, slapped it over the current versions of them, as opposed to kind of show that kind of just, they don't have to be adults, because they're not. But I read Super Sons, all of it, and it's one of my favorite books. It's fantastic. But I was hoping that there would at least be some sort of evolution of the characters a little bit. This reads exactly like the, lost stories of the Super Sons that they were doing last year, where it's just they're 8 and 10, and that's that. I was also hoping for a little bit more clear friction, because Damian was older. He was smarter. He is smarter. He was older, and he kind of bossed John around. Now John is quite stronger and has lived longer, but the dynamic in Damian's mind hasn't changed. I kind of wanted to see that. I want to see that, and Tomasi didn't really touch it at all. He just wrote them like they were kids.
Here's what it was. They run into this creature that is aging exponentially, and there are several times where this thing just grew a foot while chasing you. Yeah, man, we know. Like, you already said that. Oh, man, it just got bigger in the time it took me to say that it just got bigger. It got bigger again. Like, bro, we get it. Relax. We know. You've told us what's happening with this creature. You don't have to keep telling us.
Reads like a YA or like
it's
like
even
an all
bigger.
ages.
Yeah. It's even bigger, ... Damian goes, it grew while it fell. Yeah, we know. Shut up. That's what it was. I think that's what kept bothering me. I'm like, you don't have to keep telling me the thing's growing. I get it. Also, that's what the artwork's there for.
Yeah.
Although the artwork didn't very clearly show it, I thought, especially in the beginning, it was like, is it growing? Although I did like how they said Damien's like an older by the second, huh? And he's like exponentially by the second.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the way that we are all getting older by the second. I like that.
I also like. I think it's dope looking, but why did John put on a mech suit?
Yeah, I wondered that as well.
Yeah.
There's no particular reason other than to have two of them.
Yeah, like, why did John put on a mech suit? I didn't get. If anything, that hinders his abilities.
He's Superman. Yeah.
Right. You're right. It's more of a hindrance.
It's just this. I don't know. Maybe it's a cognitive kind of dissonance that I have. Like all of these beats would have worked better if I was reading a story about an 8 and a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
But them being 13 and 18, it just almost feels dumbed down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Even if it was the exact same dialogue, the exact same beats, the exact same art, it just feels in this context dumbed down. Like they've grown not at all.
So I actually liked it. I thought it was like a pretty light side story kind of thing, but as it was always expected to be. And I enjoyed seeing the two of them. I never read the Super Sons or any of that stuff, but I thought it was cool to have them mixing it up together. At one point, John Kent says it's time to take the kid gloves off, which he speaks, I assume in his head, with only one D rather than KIDD, which it originally is. Yes, it is kid as in like the young lamb, I think is what a kid is, or a sheep or something. It's leather made from that, which is very soft and fine, and you don't want to use it for like doing stuff that is like rough or hard, so you take them off when you really
I thought
get
it was
into it.
you put on your kid gloves when you're beating a child, and then when you have to beat something that's older than a child, you take the time to take the kid's gloves off so I can punch this adult.
Right.
Or soft hands, like kid gloves, soft hands. But then again, I do have special gloves I put on to beat children.
Yeah.
I'm glad that now I know the origin, but I kind of hate that I now know that.
Well, it's one of those things like, yeah, like it also makes sense with the other understanding. Like the kid gloves are coming off. I'm getting serious. The gloves that I wear signifying my childish nature are coming up. It's like card shark rather than card sharp. Card shark also works. That makes sense too. So
wait,
that's
card
why
shark versus what?
Card sharp, which is the earlier formulation of that.
Yeah.
He's a card sharp?
Yeah, he's a card sharp.
Yeah. Sharp at
card
cards.
shark.
Didn't know
If you
that.
home in on something rather than hone in.
It's just the predatory nature. It's an apex predator.
Right.
Card shark.
Like he's at cards and he's screwing you over. He's a card shark.
Hey, language evolves and it's a wonderful, fascinating thing.
Yeah.
Brian, I think you would absolutely enjoy Super Sons.
I believe
like 100%.
Yeah.
You should read it.
Yeah.
JD, can you pick that up for him? Like, no, for real though. Like it espouses all of the things that you enjoy about comics, especially in regards to the DC universe. Like it essentially is two preteens kind of tour of the DC universe, and it's wonderful.
Well, that's one thing that I liked about this book was like the mini tour of things in the fortress.
If you liked this, the original series will be like high literature.
Yeah, and I like the deep legacy and connections in the DC universe. Like I like how the Marvel universe too, but people that know each other that have this history and they talk about the history, which is seen in a particular way with the younger characters.
Imagine it also being worked out through their collective parents, and that's Super Sons.
Nice.
It's wonderful.
Cool.
It's a great series.
Yeah.
Did you notice how they use successive asterisks as... Were you guys looking for the other asterisks?
No.
Because he's got like 1, then a 2 asterisk, and then a 3 asterisk right underneath it, which usually signifies multiple different things within that page.
Well,
he's just doing it as like I'm going to say another comment,
I mean, isn't it the same thing?
But the 2 and 3 don't relate to any 2 and 3 asterisk notations on that page anywhere.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't care.
A baby. Damn, the kid gestated and the creature gave birth in the time it took us to put down the Nazis.
Yeah, that was kind of cruel too, right? They're just like, all right, turn around, humans from Earth, back into the portal.
It was all kind of weird. Like I don't know why too. Like when the Nazis showed up, I was like, this is just awkward.
Yeah.
Like this is weird.
I also this sort of thing rubs the wrong way when it comes to art, and you are drawing your new characters in a pose that doesn't make a lot of sense. Superman is there flying, and then Robin is running, but he's on the top of a. Where's I don't.
He's jumping off a rock. You know what? I will tell you one of the best parts of this entire series or this entire issue is like a quarter panel joke of in their mech suits, Robin waving. It's like, are you waving goodbye? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a full splayed hand wave. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the best part of this series. Yeah.
So speaking of
goodbye?
his mech suit, they are, and JD's comment, they are walking away from the mech suits that presumably Damien should take home with him, right? Like, is he going to leave that at the Fortress of Solitude?
They just went to go run off this little ice rock real quick.
Yeah, let me go run off that thing.
I wish I could defend the nitpicking, but I can't because I just wanted to like this a lot more. Yeah.
Oh.
Same.
I mean, I still liked it. I liked it.
Oh, well,
Oh,
tough.
no,
Thor number 21, Marvel Comics, written by Donny Cates and art by Nick Klein. Thor has been beaten down and the God of Hammers is about to make the final blow. Is this the end of the All-Father? Prophecies do come true after all, but not always in the ways they are foreseen. For there is one last chance to save Thor, but at what cost? Plus, the shocking origin of the mysterious God of Hammers is revealed. So, Donny Cates' Thor run has been a bucket of happy times for me. This has been so much fun. Really enjoying this run. And this is more of that. Basically, it does remind me a little bit of Joss Whedon's X-Men, where Danger comes to life and tries to kill the X-Men. This is a lot of fun. I know we just talked about this last time it came out, but Nolan and I at least are enjoying it so much that we wanted to talk about it again. Brian, you probably didn't give a shit. What'd you think, buddy?
There were some parts of it that were cool that
okay.
But I mean, you're not wrong. I also felt basically the way that I did about the last issue. However, I was happy to learn from a narrative point of view that Mjolnir was not like soured over time or grew resentful of Thor or whatever. Because I realized that, Marvel has since Civil War, I guess, in turn made all of their major characters evil or villainous or bad in some way, right? I think it was so successful with Tony Stark being a bit of a jerk and being on the wrong side of that then Reed Richards and Charles Xavier started being characterized as jerks. There was World War Hulk. Captain America was Hydra Cap. Who else? Spider-Man was Doc Ock took over as Spider-Man for a while.
Shit.
Doctor Strange
Daredevil
lost the Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh,
what
wait,
happened
no.
with him?
Daredevil went bad.
Shadowland. Yeah. Fuck.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Doctor Strange lost the Sorcerer Supreme because he made a deal with the demon. That was like the lightest one. Thor was dead at
Punisher?
the time, so he didn't do anything. Punisher didn't have far to go.
Punisher and Deadpool have been wildly consistent.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Good examples.
Silver Surfer also wildly.
Silver Surfer's still been good.
Thor never went bad.
So that's the thing. There was a Ragnarok had just happened at the time, and he didn't go through that cycle.
Yeah.
I just think that's an interesting facet of Marvel history, and I wonder why that is and why that's been successful or done. And so the last two arcs have featured, Donald Blake went crazy, and now Mjolnir's the bad guy, right? It's not the same caliber of it, but it's like, who are we gonna turn bad now? How about these side things?
There's a pattern in his storytelling, especially almost more so in Thor than was with Venom. He's got this thematic kind of obsession with the allies or the tools or the friends that we neglect become what destroy us or we're up against,
why
right?
he's so interested in that.
Well, I think it's fascinating in a just a conflict, like relationship when you're alive for hundreds of thousands of years. Relationships evolve and change. I am glad that it wasn't just Mjolnir got pissed. Just to kind of spoil it. Previously, Mangog was thrown into the sun, along with so many other things that we didn't know how to destroy. Were just thrown into the sun.
Yeah.
It is one of the greatest fallacies in comics that they're like, we can get rid of this. I'll go toss it in the sun. I'll see you in 5. The sun's like there.
Yeah, so Mjolnir was destroyed in the sun at the end of Jane Foster's while killing Mangog was into the sun. And then Thor reconstituted it and pulled it back, like all the Uru that he was still in contact with, that just like reformed and came back, and the hilt became a piece of Yggdrasil.
Yggdrasil, right?
Sure.
Yeah. The World Tree.
Yeah. But the idea that this corruption still existed in Mjolnir, I think is super fascinating, and it also ties into the worthiness, the spell being faulty now because it is no longer a pure storm, or it's no longer a pure entity. I think that's really, really cool. I was impressed that it was more than just your shit went bad, bro.
Like I bet you never thought Mjolnir could go bad.
Yeah.
Well, you were wrong.
It's not, and it's not some sort of inorganic character turn. He at least introduces reasoning and rationale that is within, that doesn't neglect or counteract previous continuity.
Yeah.
Which is like prime Jeff Johns type shit, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, agreed.
Although Jeff Johns tends to go a little farther back. You know what I mean? Like this is like still modern continuity. This is like the previous writer. Or 2 previous, maybe. 2. I mean, it's still very similar. Previous. Like I'm not discounting your
3 previous writers. Because we're talking, like JMS. This has got JMS in it. This has got Jason Aaron in it. And then, I mean, you can go all the way back to Kirby and Lee in regards to Mangog and the first fight, and then being thrown in the sun, and the return during blah 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 blah.
Was that not Jason Aaron, Mangog?
It was, the return was Jason Aaron, but the actual introduction was fucking 60 years ago, 50 years ago, and he didn't show up much at all.
Okay.
In between.
I also like when she talks about the not the word the spell for Mjolnir. You thought my enchantment meant you must be a worthy warrior, to be noble or true of heart. But ask yourself, Thor, does any of that describe you? I am a hammer. To be worthy of me is to break, to smash, to destroy. And you with your throne and your crown and your speeches. I like that. It's like to be worthy of Thor's hammer. I was like, Thor's always been kind of a dick.
Well, so why did he? Was he not breaking enough stuff before when he was stripped of the hammer?
No. It's just, I think what she's saying is, you think of yourself one way, but I think of you a different way. That's all.
Yeah, like the concept or the idea, and also too, we're talking about an unreliable narrator at this point because it is
it's infected.
An infected or broken version. Yeah. But the idea of I'm a hammer, I identify worthiness as who can use me the most effectively, not who deserves my help. Like, no, I think that was actually pretty funny. Yeah.
Now, the stuff Thor does with lightning in this is pretty cool. Where in fact, Mjolnir herself recognizes it as cool. Where he's like about to drown and he calls the lightning down to evaporate the pool, and making the lightning sword was pretty sweet also.
Yeah, it's a game recognizing game. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Although, speaking of recognition, Mjolnir is like, I had that dalliance with Jane. What about Eric Masterson? Mjolnir doesn't care at all about Eric Masterson.
Nope.
Nobody does. That's why.
Together.
That's why Donald Blake killed him first.
Oh, he killed Eric. I thought Eric Masterson
Yeah.
was already dead. Oh.
No, he ended up killing a bunch of the Thunderstrike. He killed the other dude, and he tried to kill
Thunderstrike, I
Frog.
think, was his son at this point. I think. I haven't seen him around in a long time. What about
Anybody
Beta Ray
that's-
Bill?
He tried to.
Oh, all right, good. Well, I'm glad he did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Beta Ray Bill's been alive, but
He's dead.
Brutal ripping up his arm. Now we're back to the continuity where he potentially only has one real arm. I like this.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is dope.
I think it's just a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. All right, finally, Usagi Yojimbo, Lone Goat and Kid #1 from IDW with art and words by Stan Sakai. Presented in all new color, the next stories of classic Usagi reprints focuses on a series of important short stories from the early days of the Ronin Rabbit's adventures. In this first issue, Frost and Fire, Usagi is tasked with retrieving a slain samurai's swords if he can solve an impossible moral quandary first. So we do a book club. And so we did Usagi Yojimbo Origins Volume 1 a couple weeks back, maybe about a month ago. And that's sort of, I've dallied in Usagi books here and there, but I never really stick around for any extended period of time. But this one was good. I actually enjoyed this. Trying to bring it up now. What did you think, Noel?
I thought it was more of the same, and
Yep,
that's why
I don't read that many.
Well, that's why I really liked it. There's a parable kind of feeling to all of these stories. Like, yeah, it's not for binging, but it's also, it reads so incredibly easy. To me, it's one of those examples of something seeming so simple, but it's not, or it's done so well that it seems unimpressive. You know, like when somebody does their job incredibly well, you don't notice it. Like, you don't notice how effective these are because they seem so simple and so just like one note, but they're just so nice. Like water that's not too warm or not too cold, just perfect. Like these, this is so wonderful. I really liked it.
They're the comics that Goldilocks chose.
Yes. Oh, well, I mean, it's been going on for what, 37 years now? Same writer, same artist. It doesn't matter where you start reading. Like, it's just perpetual stories. I love it.
Yeah, it was very pleasant.
What's that?
It was very pleasant. It was like a pleasant story to read.
Except for all the murder and betrayal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the actual events of the story were not pleasant at all.
I find that too, that kind of like juxtaposition of anthropomorphic, adorable animals, but actual like harsh, sometimes horrific stories with people doing awful things. It's just, it's a square to circle. It's a little off-putting, but it also, I don't know, it just kind of works. It works like peanut butter and chocolate. Like, it's just two things that I would not have thought, and they work for me.
Yeah.
You got your samurai and my rabbit. You got your rabbit and my samurai.
Like, my rabbit is dead.
Yeah. Now I need a new
rabbit. Peanut
rabbit.
butter.
I mean, I in that analogy, I actually thought the rabbit was stabbed.
Yeah, me too. That's what I was
Your
thinking.
samurai and my rabbit.
Right.
That rabbit is not breathing.
My man stabbed his own sister. Oof.
Right? But that was not on purpose, right? He just then kind of took advantage of it happening.
Yeah, at first he seemed kind of bummed out about it. He's like, "Oh no, I stabbed my sister." Anyway, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddies and drink.
Right.
He's just straight sociopath, because you also find out too that he arranged her boyfriend to get murdered because he wasn't gonna pay him. Yeah.
He's a very sort of he's like an archetype of a character, and this populates like the whole story. Like these are very like very broad stroke. Yeah. Kind of like you mentioned, like parable level kind of things. I found myself while I was reading it, I was like, this seems very old. And I didn't realize that it is very old. I thought it was like a newer tale. Yeah.
The funny thing is, this is still ongoing. So IDW is publishing, like it's essentially Usagi every 2 weeks. There is a current ongoing that is all new stories, and then there's these, which are reprints of the original in color. So like they always have been in black and white. You could read both, and not be able to tell what's the new and what's the old, or what. Like they are the most consistently produced stories, art and like content wise. It's dope. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever read an Usagi Yojimbo comic before, although I've heard about them, for years and years.
I think that's one of the reasons why we kept it on the call sheet this week. Like, it's not the sexiest book that came out this week. There's a couple other like big ones, but this is a nearly no, it doesn't do it for me. This is a nearly 40-year-old consistent series, all done by one man. When we've never talked about it.
Yeah. And in fact, JD and I thought up until recently that it was part of the Ninja Turtles universe. Because I think they had a crossover once.
Technically, it is. The character is, but these stories are not. So the character has had a crossover into a couple of episodes of the cartoon, and there
were episodes of the original cartoon.
Yeah, actually, almost every version of the cartoon has had Usagi show up, whether it's for an arc or just kind of like a cameo appearance,
like a time travel thing, usually, or.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
But also there have been comic book series where the turtles show up, but they are not the modern version of the turtles. Like they're
interesting.
Like they're actually like samurai.
That's interesting.
It's not like these all exist in the same universe so much as the turtles have used the character, and Stan Sakai has also used the turtle characters, almost like an agreement, but nothing really shared. Yeah,
like they are similar, like echoes of each other in the other one's universe.
Yeah, because I think when we did the book club too, I had to look a bunch of information about, like, for notes. Usagi Yojimbo, it started as short stories in an anthology, a comic anthology for Fantagraphics called Creatures, I think. It was just like little one-off anthology issues. These are fucking creepy variant covers. These
are cool as hell.
Yeah.
That's straight furry.
I mean, I'd fuck
the whole book. Yeah.
I like the cover that they went with. Who's the actual cover artist? Because it's not Stan Sakai.
No.
Yeah, that threw me too. We see that cover and then we turn the page and I was like, oh, this is very different from that cover.
But yeah,
I'm not sure.
This is I enjoy this now. This is not like I know that there's a large collection, but I have been enjoying just buying these reprints in collected edition because I never read the original stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are this is absolutely, you know what, this is like these books are like a palette cleanser. That's the artist for the cover.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the credits.
So what's the goat and kid thing? Lone goat and kid, is that like the over arc?
Yes. Yeah, this is when it's eventually collected as a trade paperback, it'll be Lone Goat and Kid, and it's a bunch of short stories.
Oh, David Peterson. Mouse Guard.
Oh, that was great. Mouse Guard was awesome.
So
also, interestingly, the second mention of the word kid on the podcast tonight, and this one is not spelled with 2 D's.
If it ends up being a goat, we don't know.
That's a good point.
Lone Goat and Kid. Now, first of all, thank you for telling me that it was called Lone Goat and Kid. You would not have known that to look at the cover.
Yeah.
Because look how they
cover.
Usagi Yojimbo, LONATN Kid. Because of his ears are covering most of Lone Goat.
I feel like they can get away with it because these are reprints.
I guess.
Yeah.
But it's basically, for anyone who doesn't know, it's a reference to Lone
Wolf and Cub.
Lone Wolf and Cub. Thank you. All I could think of is Lone Goat. Lone Wolf and Cub, which are classic samurai tales about a samurai who happens upon a small child and takes him in a pram, town to town, village to village, and rights wrongs.
The way that these are as far as I know, because I've only read a handful, but the way that these Usagi Yojimbo series are kind of structured, it ends up being like 3 or 4 short stories and then like a 2 or 3 issue story, and that's the arc. So the fact that the lone goat and kid stuff hasn't come in yet is pretty normal. Like it probably won't until like the 3rd issue of this arc. It's a lot of parables and allegories, and then one connecting story where there's actual kind of a super plot, and then they bow out. Like they're very digestible.
So there is kind of like an ongoing story that by the end of it has not changed the structure, and then a different ongoing story starts. That
like there's a larger plot too of his master, his master's murder by the hands of this other army and the leader of that other army. Like there's a larger plot, but it's almost immaterial to the way that the shorter stories are structured, you know?
Yeah.
So are there like eras of Usagi Yojimbo where like, okay, in the present time, this thing has long been solved?
Not eras so much as fans. Fans usually will just speak of it in where it was published at the time, because it's been published by a bunch of different publishers. So there's the Fantagraphics era, there's the Dark Horse era, and now the IDW era. New stuff has been printed in all of them, but IDW is the first that's gone back to reprint the original Fantagraphics stuff in colorized.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not a person who usually says, oh, black and white comics, they need to be colorized for me to give a shit. Normally I think colorizing black and white comics sort of detract from it sometimes, depending upon the color. These look great.
They do.
This is perfect coloring, this sort of work. I do have the black and whites, but the coloring, it works really well. What were we going to say, Brian? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, to that point, I usually am somebody who's like, black and white comic, I'm not interested. You know, I like black and white art. Just for whatever reason, black and white comics usually don't suck me in the way comics with color do, unless it's the rare thing that just looks like it ought to be black and white, not like we would have done color, but we're not doing color, you know, kind of thing. And this looks just right. You know, it looks like this is what we would have done if we were colorizing it back then. They have kind of that era's colorization.
Yeah, they
didn't, you know?
They didn't go out of way to modernize it in any kind of way. Like it does look original.
Yeah.
There are slight gradients, but other than that.
But a lot of it's also accomplished with, like, you know, which was probably already there, like hatching in the background. It's not really cross hatching, but you know, stuff like that.
Just hatching,
hatching all in the same direction. And what I was gonna say is, guys, I must correct myself. I looked it up real quick. Kid is not spelled with 2 D's, but the leather thing is correct. But it was not. There's like a few places where people have spelled it with 2 D's, but no, it's just KID. So,
I knew it, you idiot.
Well, but the leather thing is still the case.
Nope.
You're fired.
Stupid. Nate, what are you going to tell me to wear a mask?
I also don't. I'm not a giant fan of like colorizing. Actually, I think like The Walking Dead right now, the deluxes, I actually don't think they look that great. I really prefer the black and white. The Tony Moore stuff always looks good colored, but I don't think the Charlie Adlard art looks as good as it does just in stark black and white.
Oh, I like it. I think it looks good.
No, I like it.
You know what it is? Better. I found Charlie Adlard's work needs the coloring sometimes. I find his character designs to be a little sometimes in the same way that I had the trouble with what was his name? Brian Lee O'Malley and Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, so that's better colored. Yeah.
But anyway, anything else before we split? You know what? I do have one thing.
What is it?
I was thinking about doing a Thunder round on it, but I didn't.
Thunder
This
round.
was delightful. Mary Jane and Black Cat, when I saw there was going to be a Mary Jane and Black Cat comic, I was like, oh, come on, you guys. And I don't know why I keep doing that, because this was great. I also liked what we read of the Gwen Stacy comic before that got canceled because of COVID. The Black Cat series is delightful from what I've read. And this is more of that.
We weren't wrong with the Mary Jane series. That wasn't very good at all.
Oh, I only read one issue and I didn't care. But that's one out of a bunch of
the Jed McKay Black Cat is fantastic, and this is just a continuation of that.
Yeah.
Very good issue. Very good issue.
It's a one shot. Yeah. If you're reading Spider-Man, you should definitely read Mary Jane and Black Cat, because this was delightful. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Thanks so much for everyone for hanging out with us. Mars Comics says Jed McKay is doing great work.
Yeah, right.
I concur, Doctor. Great. And we will see you here next Monday, 9 p.m. Read some comics and come chat with us about them. We love you. Thank you so much. And we will talk at you later.